Games have changed from what they once were in the old days. They treated you like subhuman garbage. In the current day, everything feels much more manufactured and E for everyone for the widest audience. They all feel like they're on training wheels, very safe and simple with lots of tutorials about every possible feature, so the player never has a risk of failure, with gallons of yellow paint used to mark every single thing, and I find this boring. Well, with Honkai Star Rail looking like an absolute dumpster fire at the moment now, and fans revolting, seems like the perfect time to talk about maybe the best story-driven turn-based strategy gacha game I've ever played. Enter Limbus Company. This game has one of the worst tutorials I've ever seen. I have no idea what's good or what half the keywords even mean on my skills. My team keeps turning into a bloody pulp, and I even have trouble finding out where the play button was. And yet, I can't stop playing it. So what does this game offer us? Well, best I can do is a dystopic world with mutant bug people, a bus you feed live humans to, turning them into fuel, SCP monster abnormalities all over, and a guy with a clock for his head. Buckle up, because this game is not for the faint of heart or those with a 4th grade reading level, but has an incredible story and is very free to play. And as always, if you enjoy the video, consider subscribing to the channel and I'll be making more videos just like this one. Or go to twitch.tv/Jenazad as I stream daily. Let's quickly talk outside the game about the company Project Moon who makes it. They have only around 50 employees, including their staff at a restaurant they own called Ham Ham Pang Pang. The CEO has the most unprofessional live streams you'll ever see in the business. Hell, one time he started stream out of nowhere to play a dungeon in Limbus Company for over an hour, and then just go, "Sorry guys, some content will be delayed. Oh, also we're gonna be doing a collab soon," and then ended stream. The recent 2nd anniversary stream was also delayed because of him playing more of that dungeon where he purposely got his least favorite unit killed because they're overpowered, and going over the start time, then he had to download the PowerPoint to show on stream. But you have to appreciate this guy just being so casual and swapping between him and a VTuber avatar during streams. He's also happy players enjoy the game, but is unsure why the player number is going up. This is the guy who's in charge. Supposedly Limbus Company has already made enough money to fund it for years to come, and they want to use this money to create an anime so the fans are always happy to fund it. However, if the company goes bankrupt, the CEO promises to do mukbang and gaming streams. Also, most might not know, but Limbus Company is actually really big on Steam and only growing, often getting to be one of the highest concurrent players during patch days, so the community is somehow huge but hides under the surface. Now let's talk about the story, which is truly dark and gritty. And I don't mean there's one death. There's many, and some are sudden and horrific. Limbus Company takes place in a world if there was essentially no government intervention and corporations owned everything, setting up their own cities where they control the people. Kind of similar to today.
Do you think that Palantir has ever scraped data from Facebook?
Senator, I'm not aware of that.
Each one has a specialty known as singularities they focus on, such as mutating humans with bugs, or siphoning luck from people and selling to the highest bidder, or stealing everything from the poor, even colors from the world they live in, which at this point I kind of expect within the next few years of our time. $7.99 to gacha rent a color for the day sounds like an amazing new mechanic. Also, the entire world seems to have SCP-style entities that can kill or mutate humans or just turn you insane, so this sounds like a really great world to live in. You play as Dante, a man with no memories and a clock for a head, who is the leader of a group of 12 sinners who all work for Limbus Company and ride on a bus from place to place in search for the golden bows for an unknown reason. Basically just a normal wage slave. Along the way, you'll periodically kill the locals to stuff their bodies into your bus for fuel, kill the locals because they try to rob you, kill the locals from other corporations, or kill each other? Yep, even your co-workers are killing each other. But worry not, you'll have the ability to turn back their time and resurrect them, so it's okay if they get crushed, cut into pieces, melted, or blown up. And they will. Very, very often. The story shows a truly pessimistic and awful world, and yet each one of the sinners has the hope of accomplishing their dream by working on these perilous missions. Every chapter, known as a canto, mainly focuses on one of them and their backstory, fundamentally changing them by forcing them to confront their sinful past and growing from it. Each character is named from a character in literature and are as follows: Yi Sang, a quiet and confused poet who speaks like a chunibyo; Faust, a genius know-it-all and is as condescending as a Twitter user; Don Quixote, a justice-obsessed freak and smart as a brick; Yoshu, a murderous psychopath who speaks in acronyms; Marisol, an emotionless robot who is also probably literally autistic; Hong Lu, a spoiled rich boy but always pops in to flex and raise the mood; Heathcliff, a backstreets punk who would smash in your head but is also kind of a homie; Ishmael, a dependable but snide sailor who's also best girl; Rodion, an easygoing and fun gambler and also feels like everyone's big sister; Sinclair, a fragile and sheltered wimp that everyone else bullies; days, Otis, a strict and commanding veteran who glazes you so much it's surprising she can even talk while also blowing you, and Gregor, a friendly and casual bug-armed mutant who somehow always loses every clash and I hate his ass. Then there is also the manager and guide Virgilius, who just aura farms the entire game and beats up your co-workers, and the driver Charon, who has brain damage, but we love her anyways. One thing I can't speak enough about is reading a gacha game story that actually feels like it's for an adult. Not because of the blood, the gore, and the death, but more that it doesn't treat you like a complete moron that needs everything spoon-fed. You pick up on things as you go, connect dots, and learn about the world and its characters more naturally than just a character doing a giant lecture. Hell, I finished Kanto 5 after 60 hours of gameplay and reading, still have no idea what the hell a golden bow is or why we're really seeking them, but these discoveries over time feel much more meaningful as you piece everything together. I found the story only gets better every single Kanto, and recently after finishing Kanto 5, I'd cement it as my favorite gacha story so far I've ever read, and by a lot. Seriously, some of this game's story arcs go way beyond what you would normally encounter, and I usually hate gacha story. We all know games usually like to have the good guys win and the bad guys lose, but the journey there should keep you invested in learning how you get there, what cost, and the growth of the characters. What starts as a Limbus company could someday become a Limb family. Next, let's talk about the gameplay. You see this button right here? You press that. Everyone likes to go full monkey brain. Well, at least until you actually fight something hard, and suddenly you'll need to learn how the game works, but you forgot the poorly designed tutorial you played hours ago, and you're getting obliterated. The combat actually has a lot of intricacies and feels really rewarding to learn, but let me just go over a few of them. First, they have two totally different styles of combat for some reason based on the enemy. One, you drag from left to right and match the pretty colors, and basically everyone just hits the win rate button where it auto chooses. The other is a complex strategy style where you have to learn the game and choose skills to clash with the enemy or block, where it flips coins to decide your power versus the enemy, and the winner of the clash damages the opponent. You also have a sanity mechanic that increases your odds of winning clashes the higher it is, as your real life sanity goes down from playing the damn game. Sanity gets too low and your characters transform and start killing your own team, spamming ultimate moves everywhere and AoE sometimes. Often turns would get so complex during the harder fights with planning, it would make every turn take forever because one mistake could cascade the entire fight into a loss. Later chapter fights can lead to some really interesting boss fights that gatekeep some players, and it's where you actually have to learn how the mechanics function or die. Also, I barely know what half my characters do because they have essays for skills and almost the entire fan base is incapable of reading at higher than an elementary level, making everything feel more complex than it actually is, especially when characters have all these extra mechanics for teams like bleed, rupture, charge, tremor, poise, etc. Speaking of the community, while they're nice and very welcoming and excited, they also backseat the hell out of people for some reason because they've played 5,000 hours of a single player story game fighting roguelike mirror dungeons for battle pass levels. Seriously, while they're great to have around, they're more fanatic than a cult and come out of the woodworks like termites and somehow daisy chain about 50 discords together to all communicate whenever anyone decides to play their game. Also, the community has some pretty amazing memes, which can really enhance the experience of the game after each major story section. Which now leads me to my next topic, the gacha, everybody's favorite aspect. The CEO straight up stated the game was made a gacha because they wanted money, which I'm glad they're at least honest, but somehow they're not very good at designing predatory practices. The game is by far one of my favorite gacha systems of any game I've played because it's so easy to get characters and doesn't have that garbage 50-50 system. You can pull for both IDs and egos. IDs are alternate versions of the 12 characters from different realities, and egos are ultimate skills they can use while harnessing abnormalities' powers. That's right, the gacha is actually part of the lore. The rates are super high at 2.9% and 1.3% respectively, with a 200 spark pity, but once an ego is pulled, it can't ever be pulled again and is removed from the pool, which is great. Now, while this all sounds nice and dandy, you can also get shards from pulling dupes or from leveling the battle pass and trade 400 of a character's shard to just get an ID of that character that isn't limited. It's rare to see people be able to farm for fragments of a character in a game, but it feels very rewarding, and these battle passes last 6 months at a time, so it's easy to max it and go beyond for even more shards, easily letting you shard some characters a week after they're added. Fortunately, getting the characters is easy, allowing you to make some different teams around mechanics like the bleed team I run where multiple characters could be switched out and still function. Everyone cries about tier lists in every gacha, but in this game I felt I could use the characters I wanted as long as they'd complement each other in some way. The team building in this game can be very interesting since there's many different factions that usually focus on a gameplay style, but you can mix and match the team with characters you like that support the archetype and still clear content using your knowledge. Did I also mention that there isn't any unique gear system? Yep, so once you get the character and upgrade, then you're done. Pretty nice you don't feel forced to grind every single day for gear. Alright, something I really have to talk about, the sound design and OST. This game's music slaps harder than Mr. Pokey to his child. It's crazy good. In fact, all the music in this video is from the game. Sadly, I can't use any of the amazing Millie music because YouTube guns down anyone who tries like an animal in the streets, but every fight has great songs, and even change if you're winning or losing. Hell, one of the most banger songs is while fighting a damn chicken. Some of these songs make boss battles 10 times as epic and make you fully immersed. Millie during the boss battles makes every fight beyond hype and emotional for every sinner's story arc. Also, that coin flip and clash sound never get old, and make even battles where you press just the win rate button somehow satisfying. Now what about the endgame? Well, there isn't a ton at the moment. The game isn't the type you feel forced to play every day. Instead, it's more of a real game with a gacha system tacked on. They do have a difficult challenge mode called the Railway, but it runs for months at a time to get a high score. Also, recently they added a 10-floor roguelike dungeon mode that's more challenging than the normal ones, but most players' biggest gripe is that they want to play more. Usually I dislike not having endgame, but in this instance, it's fine because you don't have to farm for a non-existent endgame and feel forced to grind every day. Games like this are what I've found to be missing from today's world, where instead of being made for everyone, it's made for linguistics PhDs, and as you fail and fail, you learn the game from your mistakes, and in doing so, feel much more fulfilled. The game's story goes way beyond what you often see out of gacha games, and even most story-based AAA games, and is exciting to see more of. I hope to see this game continue to grow, as it really deserves it over almost anyone else in the market at the moment. Also, I love fish mail. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks a bunch for watching. Subscribe to the channel for more, and I hope to see you next time.